Today we look at kidney support and our K&B Tincture. Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Minke. This is Minke Wellness. And as we get into the elimination system, we've kind of touched a little bit last week on the bowel. I mean, there's a lot to cover, but you know, we covered some about the bowel. And so I want to talk a little bit about the kidneys and how and why do we support the kidneys for this in this cleansing process. Okay, so the kidneys are completely anatomically separate, as I've mentioned in previous videos. They sit deep in the body, so they sit in the behind all the organs, right against the back wall, and they're shaped like kidney beans, which is why the bean is called a kidney bean, because it's shaped like a kidney. So if we look at the kidney bean and we say, okay, that's what a kidney looks like, and they are filters. They primarily filter the blood. I want to point out something that you won't find referenced if you're starting to read information on Wikipedia or whatever about kidneys, is all the organs, but the kidneys especially move. They go up and down, and they have this mobility. So anytime an organ gets stuck, that actually hurts their function. So again, I've been talking about organs, and I'm in body work. I do body work and I do visceral work. And once I learned how to do visceral work, I realized how important it was to do this very subtle work and make sure that the organs actually are moving and interacting. Otherwise, they get jarred. If they stop moving, then the musculoskeletal system, every time something walks through, every footfall, any kind of impact, the organs get jarred. They're supposed to flow and float because as these forces move through, they adjust. So they absorb. That's this movement that absorbs any forces that are coming through the body. And the kidneys are particularly susceptible to this. And there's a lot of postural things that hit the kidneys. We'll talk more about that. But when people are sitting back, and their whole chest is back and down, they're crunching right on the kidney. And so the kidneys can be very stressed going. I mean, just for structural reasons, the kidneys can be stressed going into these cleanses. And here we are trying to be well, and if someone has long-term stress or strain on the kidneys, and we go into these cleanses and whatnot, we want to make sure that the kidneys are working. So we want to do some support. I'll talk about the K&B tincture in a minute, but we definitely want to support the kidneys, make sure that the circulation is moving and flowing. And so we will talk more about posture and kidneys and doing. Well, it's a little hard to do self-massage, but actually probably one of the best massages you can do. You guessed it, is the diaphragmatic breathing, that the diaphragm pushes down, and you're going to be able to massage the kidneys with breathing. And so you could do that right now. Take a breath and think of the diaphragm in the back as it pushes down, and it's going to be pushing against those kidneys in a healthy way. I'm not talking about they're slamming them up against the wall or anything. We're talking about, the body has the natural mechanisms, and breathing is one of those mechanisms to keep all the organs healthy, but you have to breathe with your diaphragm. So if you haven't figured out how to do that and you haven't worked on that, please do your whole body and your whole wellness approach a favor and learn how to breathe with your diaphragm so that you can get the benefit of all that. Okay, that aside. Now, so as I mentioned, the kidneys are a filter. They filter the blood. And they constantly, the blood is moving through the kidneys, very, very quickly, high volume, and so they really have to have, again, my point on this, they have to have really good circulation. We want to maintain good flow, and many of the supplement like this, many of the herbs in here are designed or shown herbally to improve kidney flow and flushing through, and you wouldn't be surprised to see some that are help promote circulation. I'll talk about that in a minute. So the kidneys filter. They filter the blood. We'll go more into what the kidneys do with a little bit more specificity. Although you could probably do an entire course, the entire length of what I'm teaching you on just the kidney. There are entire medical doctors who are nephrologists, and that's all they do is study the kidneys, renal, the whole system. So anyway, the kidneys have some delicate structures inside, so they really need protection. Especially as the body detoxes. I mean, if you're shunting toxins out of the body, especially the metals, heavy metals, if they're coming out and flushing out of the body, we definitely want to protect the kidneys. from any of the damage and that can the repercussions that can come from cleansing. And we're cleansing all the time, folks. I'm not talking about necessarily aggressive cleanse. I'm talking about the body needs to get rid of. We're getting exposed to mercury and lead and aluminum and these metals all the time, and this is bad. And we're adding more and more tons by the tons. I mean, it should terrify all of us what we're doing to our biosphere, how much mercury we're dumping into the biosphere, just mercury alone. If that's all you looked at and said, okay, this is really harming everyone, and of course the more vulnerable are the babies in the womb, and the younger people, the babies and children, and then the people who are sensitive, genetically predisposed. So the bulk of the population still probably is getting away with these kind of exposures, and the sensitive ones, those of us who are sensitive, are feeling it and starting to squawk. But eventually, in not very long, another 50 years maybe, if we don't change our path, we really are going to be in big trouble when it comes to this mercury poisoning and mercury toxicity. And that's just mercury, lead, and aluminum are all in that same package. My point is, we are constantly, whether you're doing a cleanse or not, the body's constantly trying to get rid of some of these toxins that are coming in, and we just have so much. And so remember our wellness strategy: stop poisoning ourselves, flood the body with nutrients, and manage the stress. We've got to stop poisoning ourselves. Do the best you can to clean everything up. Do better even now than you're doing. Really work at it and take it seriously that you are getting exposed. Even if you think you've cleaned everything up, you are still getting exposed. So you've got to do your support, which is why I keep coming back to sulfurzyme. Remember, I keep coming back to sulfurzyme as my primary, and the reason for that is sulfurzyme and vitamin C are the ones that you're going to need as primary detoxers for your metals. Almost across the board, that will take care of almost everything if you get enough of those. So I keep advocating, make sure you're still taking sulfurzyme and Super C as a standard. That's like all the time. Now, back to the kidneys. I'm sorry I get on these things, but you have to understand the lay of the land, right? You can't just come in and say, oh, well, yeah, no, I don't have any kidney problems, so I'm just going to ignore that. No. We are talking about you need to do an occasional protection for your kidneys. And I'm not saying you have to be on a kidney supplement all the time. We're focusing on this. See, the whole point of the strategy of this is we're learning and exposing and experiencing some of these different supplements and targeted supplements for particular use so that we can know what they do. So that when we do need some extra support, the body and brain is triggered and say, I've already tried that K&B, I've already experienced what it's like, and now that I need some kidney support, my body is craving that K&B tincture, or that I really needed that K&B tincture. So that's what this is. The K&B stands for Kidney and Bladder. It's an herbal tincture with essential oils mixed in, and as we've talked about a number of times, the essential oils added in just make such a potency. They potentize everything. Plus, the essential oils have their own herbal qualities. So we get this fabulous interaction between the water-based, aqueous-based extracts that are happening in the alcohol. Well, alcohol is actually getting a little bit of water-based. A little bit of fat-soluble ones as well. But you've got these herbal extracts that are alcohol extracts, and then we get the essential oils added in. Fabulous combination of things. Okay, so as I've said, the kidneys are flushing through a lot of fluid. They have a lot of different functions I'm not going to get into right now, but they're filtering the blood, they're maintaining balance of electrolytes, they actually produce hormones for calcium levels, for example, and they produce renin, which actually is an enzyme that has to do with blood pressure. Maybe we'll have time to talk a little bit about that. But the basic function is we're talking about something that really needs a lot of throughput. And so as we start to do our breathing and connecting to the kidneys, we're really talking about this flushing, right? This is a constant flushing, and we want to kind of connect to that element of that filtration and flushing. And so as we do some do our K&B tincture and then breathe, we can kind of use that imagery of maybe even a waterfall or whatnot. Okay, so let's look a little bit at the ingredients here. We've got herbal extracts, juniper. Not a big surprise that juniper would be good for the kidneys. We know that. Parsley. Great for the kidneys. Uva ursi, which is then uva ursi and dandelion, both actually have some benefit to the liver as well. So again, just helping and German chamomile, helping the liver and kidney at the combination. So it's just a nice, well-rounded product. And then we get into the essential oils. So geranium, geranium, fennel, clove. Now I mentioned about circulation. Clove is fabulous for promoting circulation, especially at the micro circulation level. When we talk about micro circulation, this is the circulation that we need to get the fluid flowing through the capillary beds, get the blood flowing through the capillary beds, and clove is fabulous at that. That is one of the things it does so well. And so we're really, with the clove oil added to this, it's an amazing product to help the kidneys get this micro circulation, fluid flowing through the micros, through the little, capillary beds, which are only one cell thick. You're passing only one red blood cell at a time through these capillary beds. So it's really important for the viscosity of the blood to be, at the proper level. And so this is really good to help maintain good circulation. We go on with Roman chamomile and sage and juniper oil. So a number of essential oils in there. Any of one. The geranium is good for liver, keeps the liver flowing. The geranium oil and fennel. Now here's an interesting thing. I was going to spend a moment or two talking about a precaution with this, and that if you're nursing, if you're actively nursing, and certainly if you're nursing and you have concern for a milk supply, if your milk supply is not really strong, then parsley would be something you would want to avoid. Interestingly, fennel is something you would want to use. So even among that precaution, you still have a potential balancer here. So that even if the parsley did have an effect, you may still be able to balance that with the fennel that's in here. So fennel and parsley may offset in that concern for nursing moms. But just again, because it is very clear in the herbal literature to say, okay, wait a minute, if you're a nursing mom, you'd want to avoid parsley, then it's reasonable to do so if for the nursing, if you have a milk supply issue. If you don't have a milk supply issue and things flow really well and easily, and you felt like you needed kidney support, this would be fine to do, especially if you wanted to introduce it very lightly. Amy has taken this while pregnant and while nursing, but she takes it in small doses, half a squirt twice a day, for example, half the amount that we would be doing, or even a quarter of the amount, we would be doing 2 squirts twice a day, and she would be doing half a squirt twice a day, just to keep it on the low side. She tends to be more sensitive anyway. So that's the only precaution in terms of that. Also dosages, you can go, it says on here to take 3 squirts 3 times a day, 3 half droppers, which I call squirts, 3 times a day. But I think that's too much. And as I've mentioned, this is a potent supplement. It really works. And I think 2 squirts twice a day would be more than adequate. So we're actually cutting it to less than half what is recommended on the bottle. And that's very appropriate. I think we don't think we need much more than that. Of course, you could do more, but it does have a tendency to push things. The essential oils tend to be cleansers, and so it's generally good to just start on the light side and work up. If you feel like you're really craving it and you want another dose, take a 3rd dose. And if you want to increase your dose, that's fine. But just saying, as we start this out, it's very reasonable to start on the low end of these things. Okay, so that's the basics of a little bit of talking about the kidneys and how we need to support them, and then with the K&B tincture, what we're doing with that. And so it's just a really effective, in my experience, a really effective way to support the kidneys in doing what they're already supposed to do. And it's relatively easy to take. The 2 squirts, you put it in water, water or juice or whatever it is that you take. It does have a taste. I actually like the taste of it. Other people have said it tastes really bad, but I actually like the taste probably because I need this. So however you want to get it down. Some people have asked, can I put it in a capsule and swallow? Yes, of course you could. A little tedious, but yes, you could put it in a capsule. You'd have to figure out the size of the capsule and how much of a squirt fits in 1 capsule. You might have to take 4 capsules to get a reasonable amount of dose of that, okay? But that's a reasonable thing. Okay, so we'll continue on this week. We've got a number of things that we're going to be looking at, but so today we're just going to touch base here with the kidneys and explain a little bit about the K&B. We will do a lot more with the kidneys. I think next week is almost entirely kidney focused, but the rest of this week we'll have a number of things to talk about. Including some other products, and back to some more discussion of the colon, okay? So hopefully you'll be well versed in colon stuff. All right, at the end of this week, happy wellness. We'll see you tomorrow.